When people think about endangered species, polar bears and condors may come to mind. But now an ASU researcher says wildlife managers should change the way they allocate money to preserve and grow lesser-known endangered species. KJZZ Science and Innovation correspondent Andrew Bernier joins me with more. Hi, Andrew.
Hello, Mark.
So you spoke with the researcher. What did you find out?
Well, to start, the Endangered Species Act is 40 years old. It has 1,125 species on it and receives an annual budget of $1.2 billion. Conservation biologist Leah Gerber with ASU School of Life Sciences found that over that time, while the total funding has been adequate, some species got a lot of money while others don't.
There are species that are actually receiving more than the recovery team specifies is required. So shift the surplus funds from those top 50 overfunded species to those that are severely underfunded. And by doing that, we would erase the funding deficit for more than 180 species.
What kinds of species does Gerber think get too much money and which does she think don't get enough?
Basically, she says the cute, cuddly ones get disproportionate attention and money, while some plants and invertebrates, often others, could use a little more love and cash.
So does she propose an alternative method to allocate money?
Well, Gerber advocates a return on investment approach meant to reallocate funds without requesting more money. She believes funding should be based on how species have either improved, stagnated, or declined in population.
Well, how would she determine that? How would she characterize how a particular species is doing?
Well, Gerber breaks down the species into 4 different classifications. So the first one is cost-effective, which means the species is fully funded and that their population is increasing. The second is what she calls a costly success, meaning that it is overfunded, but the populations themselves are increasing. And then there's injurious neglect, which means the species is underfunded and the populations are declining. And then the last one is what's known as a costly failure, meaning that the species is overfunded and also the populations are declining. So Gerber says if we were to shift funding from species in the costly success and the costly failure categories to, say, the injurious neglected species, we may see a growth in those populations. For example, Gerber says that there are 7 cacti in Arizona on the endangered species list.
The Acuna cactus is one. It's listed as endangered. And the primary threat is development and also mining operations. There are only 5 locales in Arizona where these cacti exist, and only one of them is protected. That's in Oregon Pike Cactus National Monument.
And Andrew, there is actually a bit of news about the Acuna cactus, right?
Right. So earlier this week, a petition was submitted by mining company Freeport-McMoRan to actually have the Acuna cactus delisted, and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service found that to be non-substantial. So basically what that means is the company claimed that the cactus's taxonomic classification gave it a much larger landmass, so assuming there would be more of the cactus itself. But upon review, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service found that the current taxonomy of the cactus was correct, and so with that, they declined any further review of possible delisting.
So it stays where it is.
It sure does.
That's KJZZ's Andrew Bernier. Andrew, thanks.
Hey, my pleasure, Mark.